What's going on, folks, and welcome in to Out of Your Falcon Mind. We are an Atlanta Falcons podcast, and I'm just one half of the podcast. My name is John. If you're new here, my co-host Mike, you can catch us every Thursday night live during the off season around 7:30, 8 o'clock. And then during the season, you can catch us twice a week, previewing the upcoming game and then recapping the game. Typically that's a Thursday, Sunday type of thing, but that can change depending on our schedules and when the games are played. So just keep your eyes on the channel for when we do that when the season starts. But during this off season, we'll have, like I said, the live shows. We'll have videos like this, other content dropping for you to keep you engaged and keep you ready to get this new season going whenever it starts. So if you're new here, thank you for being here. Hope you enjoy the content, man. If you could like the video, subscribe to the channel, that would be awesome. If you hit the little bell so you get notifications every time we go live or drop new content, even better. We're trying to hit at least 100 likes on every video. We're still a small channel overall in the whole scheme of things, so we're just trying to grow and get more Falcons fans' eyes on the channel. So as much as just all it takes, that little bitty click on that like button helps us out so much. We much appreciate it. So the purpose of this video today is the second video in this free agent series that I'm doing for us. If you missed the first one, it was on wide receivers, did it last week. Go back and check it out. Just some, there's a whole laundry list of wide receivers that are available, this off season, and there's a ton of really good guys in the draft that we'll get to on a later video. But I picked about 12 guys that that are interesting, that would be nice to have, and just pros and cons, whatnot about it. So you can check that out. And for this one, we got edge rushers, another position we have to add to the room, clearly. And so I've got my notes, as always, because again, I can't memorize all this stuff. Been looking at guys ever since I posted the last video, and some things have changed. So like earlier today, we just found out from Jimmy Lake that we're gonna be back in a base 3-4 defense, right? So not a huge deal. A lot of guys that are still on the roster from Dean P's defensive scheme, which was a 3-4, still here. So not a big deal overall. The good thing is we did hear that they will be multiple still, which is great. And that Raheem is known for really kind of tailoring his defense to the players that are on the team. So they may want to do a base 3-4, but like he said, they're still gonna be very much multiple and changing based on the offenses they face. So they're gonna want versatile players all around, right? The guys that can play 4-3, 3-4, they'll definitely have, if we're gonna play 3-4 now, we have to get a big nose tackle. That's not really Grady. Onyemata might can do it, but it's not really his thing either. If that's what they really want to do, well, that'll be something maybe we look at when we do interior defensive linemen. Even in the draft as well. There's some guys there that could fit that mold. So that'd be one change for sure. But looking at edges, and that could change based on some of the guys that I picked. To look at, again, a laundry list of edges out there. I did just pick about 12 guys to go through and see how that's going to work. And then, like I said, looking at the Rams, they did a really good job of disguising their pressure packages and their back end, right, and their secondary. They did a good job disguising all those, which a lot of teams really only maybe good at doing one thing. They did both really well, so that bodes well for us. Nolan Raheem's going to have his hands on that defense for sure, even though Jimmy Lake will be calling the plays. But that's good to know. All right, so to these guys that I have picked out. First of all, we do have Lorenzo Carter for one more year, and that's a guy that does fit the scheme. So it's possible that he's, they keep him around, they don't cut him, which is, that's very well possible. We'll have to wait and see on that. But let's look at the first two guys that we just had on our team that are free agents, Calais Campbell and Bud Dupree. So start off with Calais. He's 37 years old. We know what Calais can do. He had a hell of a season, playing probably more snaps than he planned to play, just due to the injuries to Grady and Onyemata missing some games and whatnot. So 6.5 sacks, but man, what he brings in leadership and knowledge into that locker room, what he's able to help out Zach Harrison progress in his young career. Having him back would be great. That he's going to probably want to pick a situation that's really good for him, that maybe he does want to try to get that ring, but we know he really liked the defensive staff here. He liked Art a lot, which is why he came here. But the good news is, hey, we retained Jerry Gray, we retained Dave Huxtable, so maybe those are two guys that he really, really liked. Either way, and Calais has played in 3-4 before and multiple teams, especially Arizona, for instance, they played multiple, like a hybrid front there whenever he was there. Granted, he was a lot younger, but still he's done it before. He can do it again. Last year he had to play inside, he had to play outside again due to injuries. So just a guy I'd love to have back because obviously he could still produce. And everything I'm reading, you can expect like a little bit of a bump on his salary. So like last year, 7.5, probably this year, like 8.5, would be like the going rate. Again, like a 1-year deal. So not too bad. Bud Dupree, with this finding out today, this is going to a 3-4, he makes sense to come back, which I'm fine with as well. 6.5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles last year. Played 63% of the snaps. The thing with Bud is good run stopper, good edge setter. He can get after the passer. He wasn't, like I said, 6.5 sacks is not fantastic, but it's not bad. I don't mind having him part of that rotation. You're looking at a possible $3 to $6 million, somewhere in that range. So again, not too expensive. Dude's from Macon, Georgia. I'm sure he wants to stay home. So hey, why not bring him back? So, and also we should say this too, before I get into these guys that are really expensive. We do have some money to spend, obviously, in the offseason, right? But we have to get the quarterback. And so whether or not we go after a Kirk Cousins or whoever that might be the most expensive guy that we pay. So some of these expensive edge rushers, we may not be able to afford. It kind of depends on how they want to approach this, right? Obviously, the quarterback is the biggest, most important position on the team. So that's one they've got to get right, or they've got to make, whatever their plan is, whether it's, hey, we're going to move up and go draft Drake May or whoever Jaden Daniels, whoever you like, right? That's a possibility. Going to signing Kirk's a possibility. Russell possibly, Justin Fields. We all know those possible names that are out there. So, there's the guys, the expensive guys. I mean, these are kind of like pipe dreams for myself. So, and maybe for all of y'all too. But they just may not be affordable for us. And but hey, maybe they just say, hey, you know what? We want that alpha edge. I would love to have that alpha edge. I mean, it's been since John Abraham since we had an alpha edge, that we could just guarantee double-digit sacks every year, no doubt about it. So as much as I would like it, I do understand that they don't go after the expensive guys because of what we have to do for the quarterback position and maybe fill out some other spots on the roster. So it's very possible they don't spend a lot of money on one player in general. They may just go find good players to fill in holes and, have that rotation. So who knows? But just want to say that before we get into these expensive dudes. So the first guy I want to hit is Danielle Hunter from the Minnesota Vikings. He's 29 years old, 6'5", 252 pounds. And for all these guys, I'm just going to give y'all some quick hitters on it. It's not going to be a long video. Like I said, I'm going to try to keep them around 20 minutes. So just some real quick information about them. And again, like what they're possibly going to make or whatnot, and how they're going to fit the team. So this dude could command $20 to $25 million a year. So, a little pricey. 16.5 sacks last year. He's had 87.5 already in his career. Would love to have him. I would love to. Would have loved to have had him last year when it was, potentially thrown out there that they may trade him, but they did not. From what I'm reading, the Bears may make a really strong push at it, which would be a hell of a combination with him and Montez Sweat there. But if they don't, which they do have the 9th pick, they're right after us. So if in case, depending on which direction we go, there could be, a Dallas Turner there or Latu or, Jared Verse. They may decide, hey, we'll go that way and be cheaper. You never know. But Danielle Hunter would be a hell of an addition for sure. Next up, right up 85, Brian Burns, 6'5", 250 pounds, 26 years old. All right, 8 sacks in 23. He had 12.5 in 22. The dude has logged 800 snaps in 3 consecutive seasons, with at least 40 quarterback pressures, 8 sacks, and 10 quarterback hits, and 30 defensive stops. I know I hate when we play him. I mean, mainly because we see him just like flying by Caleb McGarry like he's standing still. Sorry, Caleb, but dude, you can't. I mean, the speed rush is just something you have. Let's just be honest here. But he's going to be expensive too. They Spotrac said anywhere between 21 to 23, and they said possible, according to some executives, there could be a $25 to $30 million a year, depending on how, if there's a bidding war, whatever happens. Looking at maybe 4 years, 90 million, somewhere in that range. It's funny, the Rams obviously showed interest back in 2022, and like they had about 41.5 million in cap space, which could be similar to what we have after we maybe do some restructures and cut some guys. And they offered 2 firsts for him back in 22. I think it was a 24 and a 25, maybe if I recall that right, first round pick. They said no. I think they'd love to have that back now because they really need, the Panthers could use those first round picks in the situation they're in. So now, unless they franchise him, which they could, but again, he's gonna be super expensive. He's gonna be gone without getting anything for him, which it's hilarious for us because, screw the Panthers, but man. So, like I said, would love to have that dude, man. Just overall monster on the edge. And, you know, I guess he could, you know, if we're playing multiple fronts, yeah, he'd be fine. He'd be fine. I'm not even going to worry about that with him. But again, pretty pricey. There'll probably be a bidding war, so I don't know that we go that direction. But again, a man can dream, you know. All right, next up, Josh Allen, 26 years old, 6'5", 252, from the Jaguars. Now he has said he wants to stay in Jacksonville if he can because he wants to build a legacy there. It's important to him. I love that. That's great. I still don't think you're going to take a discount to stay there. So Spotrac is projecting him around 23.9, potentially a 5-year, $120 million type of deal. He's coming off 17.5 sacks last year, which is like a breakout year. The previous 2 years, he had 7.5 respectively. So clearly kind of broke out. Now the difference is new defensive coordinator, our guy Ryan Nielsen going down there. Ryan likes those big edges. He's not necessarily that, but he's big. He's 6'5", 252, but he's not, you know, big. So don't know if that fits what Nielsen wants to do. Maybe it does. But hell of a player. I don't know if he wanted him to leave, you know, but again, we'll see what happens with him. Excuse me, guys, got to drink some water. Because I talk a lot and my throat gets dry. All right, next up, bigger guy, Leonard Williams, 29 years old, 6'5", 302, from Seattle. He was traded to Seattle from New York Giants last year. Seattle, from what I'm reading, wants to keep him, but without restructures, they're already over the cap. So it'd be tough for him to do that. So he does play inside, he plays outside. That's a plus. Projected at $16.7 million, still pretty expensive. Did have 11.5 sacks in 2020 and only 5.5 last year. So it kind of depends on where he lines up. You know, if you line up on the interior, unless you're Aaron Donald, you're not necessarily going to be in a position to get a ton of sacks. But pretty productive guy. You know, again, just an option. Probably not my favorite option, but hey, it's out there. Now Chase Young, I wasn't going to really. It's hard not to include Chase Young because, you know, former first-round pick, was second overall, only 25 years old, 6'5", 265. My whole issue with Chase is just the effort, right? It's just sporadic. When he wants to be good, like he's really damn good. You know, I mean, he had a good Super Bowl. You know, was it the week prior? I think Steve Wilkes he said it was like, he called the effort just embarrassing, you know? So I don't. And you can kind of, I mean, he's had injuries, you know, when he was at Washington, so he's had a couple of seasons that really plagued him with that. He barely got on the field. He's projected at $13 million. He had 2.5 sacks after being traded to the 49ers last year, 7.5 total. Even with that all being said, he still had his best year as a pro, which is not, you know, only 4 years, but still 7.5 sacks, 66 pressures, and 400 out of 480 pass rushing snaps, which landed him 19th amongst qualifying edges on PFF. So, not bad. I just don't know if he wants it that bad. I mean, I would like to think he does. I haven't seen enough of him, but I know when I have seen it, you know, the effort is not consistent. So that won't work. But do you take a flyer on 1 year? You know, like I said, $13 million. Do you say, hey, prove it? You go out, I'll get you a 1 year deal, $13 million. Go show me what you can do. Earn that extension, earn that bigger contract. Maybe, you know, but I don't know. I'm not sold on Chase. This guy I am sold on, and I would not mind having him at all. Zadarius Smith from the Browns. He's 32 years old, 6'6", 263 pounds. Pretty sure the Browns want him back. Don't know if he wants to stay there or not, but the Browns want him back. But they have their own restructuring they have to do and money they have to move around and stuff like that as well. Now this could be an option to say, even if we do sign Calais, he could still be an option. But he's, you know, he could be that veteran present in the locker room. Dude is like a damn Energizer bunny, high energy. He has gotten a 84 pass rush grade from PFF in each of the last 4 seasons with 100 pass rushing snaps. And that's, I mean, say what you want about PFF, you know, at least it's the same thing that everybody's graded on, so that's pretty damn good. Played 59% of the snaps last year, 5.5 sacks, 20 QB hits, and he's played multiple schemes, and he can play multiple schemes, so that's a huge plus, right, for us. Projected around 11 to 12 million. I'm down with that. You know, if they could make that work, I wouldn't mind that at all. Like seeing Smith in a Falcons uniform. All right, next up, AJ Epinesa from the Buffalo Bills, 6'5", 275, 26 years old. He was a second rounder that in some Bills fans' eyes haven't really lived up to that second round draft pick. Maybe he needs a fresh start, who knows? He had 6.5 sacks last year, played about 36% of the snaps. Now I was looking at that, I was like, now I wonder what AK did, because, you know, I want to maybe just compare those two. So I want to look at what Arnold did. Ebiketie, by the way, if you don't know who I was talking about. He played 34% of the snaps and had 6 sacks. So very, very similar. So it seems like maybe he was used in the pass rushing type downs. So, projected at $5.6 million by Spotrac. Over the cap, had him around 4.2 as valuation. So, I'm down with that. That's pretty cheap, and like I said, big guy. What never know. Like he could be somebody who could kind of, like I said, fresh start may help him, especially in a new scheme. That'd be maybe a fit. Who knows? Leonard Floyd, another guy I would love to have. And I was talking to my buddy Alberto from 95 North Falcons Talk Show, and I believe he was like, yeah, this is a dude I want to. 31 years old, 6'6", 244. As y'all know, y'all may not know, went to UGA, so here in Georgia. He's averaged 10 sacks the last 4 seasons, 10.5 last year. Obviously, he's familiar with Raheem, played with him with the Rams before he went to Buffalo. Spotrac's projecting it at $8.1 million, which is, sign me up like yesterday if that's the case. And he said he's going to approach free agency very business-like. He's going to go where the money goes. So clearly there's going to be some teams that want his services. It'd be really nice if we were one of those teams. I would love to see him back here in Georgia for sure. I'm not a Georgia fan, just would like to see him here. I'm actually an Alabama fan, where the next guy is from, A'Shawn Robinson. And man, I remember when A'Shawn got to Alabama, he looked like he was 45 when he was like 18 years old. He had like, I don't know, man, he just looked scary dude. And he's still a scary dude. He's 29, he's 6'4", 307 for last year with the Giants. Played about 45% of the snap counts. Just due to injuries last year, DeMarcus Lawrence was down. Again, they traded Leonard Williams over to Seattle. So he played probably more than he planned on it. But he had a career best 34 solo tackles, 62 total tackles. He can play inside, outside, again, which is great when you're looking at multiple fronts and multiple schemes. Not a sack guy. He's more of a run stopper type of dude. He's not going to get big sack numbers at all, which is fine if you're using him as a rotational type of piece. $5 million projected, not bad at all. So yeah, I'm down with A'Shawn too. He's got that familiarity, like I said, with Raheem, so that could be a real possibility. All right, last 2 guys. Excuse me. Both Jets. You might can predict one of them. Carl Lawson, 29 years old, 6'2", 261 pounds, and this poor bastard, man, he has been plagued by injuries. He's had an ACL in college. He had hip problems. He's had back issues. He tore his Achilles in 21. And he bounced back in 22, pretty solid. Had 7 sacks. I think got hurt in 23. Only played 101 snaps. Had a few healthy scratches as well during the season. That was a pretty deep defensive line for the Jets, so it was tough to break into it, especially after all the issues that he'd had. They projected him at $3 million, so that's a guy I might take a flyer on if he can stay healthy. And that's the whole, you can't predict that, but for $3 million, a guy that's trying to really make it and reclaim his career and prove that he can be a guy, that maybe something, who knows? But yeah, that's Carl Lawson. So I don't know. We'll see. The guy I would prefer to have that's on the Jets, Bryce Huff, 6'3", 255. The dude was an undrafted free agent and was an animal last year. He's gotten better each year. He played 42% of the snaps, and they played him more as a situational pass rusher, not like an every down type of guy. Now, whether we did that here or not, don't know. I've read multiple, and I've seen enough games, and I've read some stuff that a lot of people think he can be more than just a situational pass rusher. Just to give you an idea, he finished second among all qualified players in pressure rates last year, notching a career-high 10 sacks, 21 QB hits, and 68 pressures. He also recorded third best pass rush win rate among qualified edge rushers, which was higher than Micah Parsons, which is wild. So we got to watch out for Dan Quinn, because he may want his own Micah Parsons in Washington, so he may go after him, but you never know. Everything I'm reading about the Jets with him is that he's likely not going to re-sign because of the younger, cheaper guys they have, like Jermaine Johnson and McDonald, that they've drafted in previous years. He's projected around $9.6 million, but they could tag him. It'd be $23 million if they want to tag him, so I doubt that. So good chance he leaves. Again, I wouldn't mind having that dude here at all. At 9.6, yeah, I think that'd be a pretty nice signing. So that's the guys I got. I will make a few quick honorable mentions here just because I don't think they're going to happen, but Jonathan Greenard to the Houston Texans, I don't see him leaving Texas. 12 and a half sacks last year. Hell of a player, really good opposite side of Will Anderson. They've got plenty of cap space. I'm sure they'd be crazy not to re-sign him. So I didn't even really go into depth on him because I didn't think it was really even a possibility. And then Josh Uche and Yannick Ngakoue, both guys didn't have great stellar seasons, like we were kind of rumored to possibly be interested in Uche earlier last season. Nothing ever happened. Same thing with Yannick before last season. I know a lot of folks wanted to go after him before he signed with the Bears. So yeah, neither one of them moves the meter for me a whole lot. Maybe we take a flyer, who knows? They could, again, be depth pieces or rotational pieces or whatever. So that's it, guys. I am at 20 minutes, just over 20 minutes. Not too shabby, right? So y'all let me know, man. Do y'all like some of these guys? Who would y'all want? Drop it in the comments. Let me know who, if they're not on this list, some guy that, like I said, I went through the list as much as I could, but I got work. I got a kid who plays baseball, and I got a lot of other stuff to do. So I did my best to kind of get some good guys with that are possibilities, or just guys that I like, and just give everybody an idea of what might be out there. But like I said, let me know what you think. Let me know if there's a guy you think would fit better, especially now with the announcement of what we're looking at defensively, and we'll go from there. Now next week, quarterbacks. And my brother, Savion Mixon, if y'all have watched the show before, you've seen Savion on the show before. He's now writing for a Vikings outlet, which he has been for, I think, for about a year now. So I don't know the exact name, so I don't want to say it and screw it up. We'll get it right on the show next week. He's going to come on with me, clearly, obviously covering the Vikings. He's going to have some insight on Kirk Cousins. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Russ. We'll talk about Justin Fields. Whoever will name your quarterback free agent, we'll probably talk about them. Not obviously as many as this because there isn't that many out there, but we will talk about some of the pros and cons of them coming to Atlanta and what that might mean for us contractually, and then just what that might mean with other positions that we may have to go after, including drafting quarterbacks or whatever. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Really appreciate you watching, man. Again, we'll be back next week with that video. You can catch us live this week on Thursday, 7:30. Hope to see you there. If you can't, you can always catch the replay, or you can listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Normally we have it out the very next day. So much love. Appreciate y'all. Again, if you're here, hit the like button, subscribe. We very much appreciate it. It helps us keep growing. And again, hit that notification so you get, hit the bell so you get notifications every time that we go live, drop content. Y'all know the drill. It's, we're still newish to YouTube. We're not like real YouTubers trying to be, you know what I'm saying? But we're the elder millennials, so we're not
too old
there like this, like all the editing y'all see. Yeah, I'm just learning this stuff for the first time, so yeah, it may get better as we go on, who knows. But thank y'all so much love. Catch y'all next week. Peace.